Good evening and welcome to the Gold Goats and Guns Hour here on YouTube and Periscope. My name is Tom Luongo. Monday, October 29th, 2018. Things are getting weird out there. We've got a lot to talk about tonight. And tonight I want to talk about Gab. Now, you know that I've been a member of Gab, since the election, since before the election. When Torba first went live with Gab, I was probably one of the first 5,000 people to sign up on Gab. Now I don't use the platform all that much. I've been using a little bit more here and there. We've actually tried to stream on Gab TV in the past and a variety of things in the past. And I have I wouldn't say a love-hate relationship with Gab. I just have a kind of a frustrated relationship with the platform. Because it is like everything else. It's very, very difficult to make the switch from one platform to another if you're not, if you don't have a huge following and you have to start from scratch over and over again. And I'm not particularly great at the social media thing in the first place because I only like to tweet out information. I'm not terribly snarky. So, and I don't, what do you call it? And, I don't spend my day trying to get the attention of various influencers and all that stuff that you have to do to, I just figure we'll just build this thing organically and at the rate that we're going to build it. And that's what's going to happen. So good evening, everybody. So no shock over the weekend in the wake of the Boomer bomber and then the synagogue shooter the next day that Gab was blindsided by the entire Silicon Valley set. People say to you, you don't like Twitter? Go build your own platform. Well, Andrew Torba did. Built his own platform. Dedicated it to all the things that he didn't like about Twitter. Twitter was shadow banning people, that they were getting rid of people that they didn't like, anything else. And so Torba, in his way, and maybe a little naive and maybe a little cynical, and we'll get to that in a minute, set out to build an alternative to Twitter. Did it become a haven for alt-right Nazis and some of the most vile people on the internet? Yes. So what? Those people were on Twitter. Now they have a home. Other people migrated over the Gab simply because, like me, they're paranoid about being taken off of the airwaves. You see this thing when you're a forward-thinking individual, you can see these things coming, right? And so if you build it, they will come. He built a different platform, one in which your experience is predicated on what you put into it. You don't want to look at the alt-right Nazis? Ban them all. Ban keywords. Ban any kind of speech you don't want. Make it your own, give it your own personal ban hammer. That's what I do here. If you don't like what I have to say, everybody pops off. It's not a big deal. I don't get offended if people leave. I just wonder if I'm doing it right or doing it wrong. Right? Which is what I'm supposed to do. I'm the content provider. So he built it. Couldn't get on iOS with his app because why? Apple didn't want that on their platform. Why? Because Apple wants to control the on-ramps of the internet. Same thing with Google. Can't have. Twitter is meant to keep everybody in Twitter. Twitter's part of the panopticon. Why haven't someone like the Koch brothers built a right-wing media site? Because the Koch brothers are globalists. That's why. They love Twitter. No one's going to build that site because no one who has power wants Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and the rest of them to go away. They want control of the wire. As I've been saying for months, I've been saying for years now, 2 years now, they want to maintain control of the wire. Merkel's not completely gone yet, but she will be soon. And for those of you wondering why I've hit the 1K subscriber mark, but I have not invoked super chats yet. I will once monetization has been fully enabled and I've got some stuff to do about getting that done. Hopefully by Friday's stream, we'll have that worked out. Scott Goldman, it's not just about the dollars, it's about the control. George Soros and Tom Steyer and others have been working since 2011 to build the deplatforming platform. Net neutrality, all of it. The Internet Bill of Rights, all of this stuff. It's all been in service of getting to the point where they can do exactly what they're doing right now. They're scared. They're desperate. They need something to go their way. And so now they've made Gab into the scapegoat for this guy. He had a Facebook account. He had a Twitter account. He had an Instagram account. She's already gone as CDU leader. She stepped down this morning. Speaking of Merkel, we'll get to Merkel. Don't worry about it. Hold your water on the Merkel commentary. We got plenty to talk about there. So, Gab said, you said, hey, you don't like Twitter? Build your own. So Andrew Torba did. And now they're taking that away from him. Because there's always another platform you have to leverage your technology on. At some point, you have to ask yourself, at what point are people responsible? No one's responsible for what people, nobody who provides a platform for speech is responsible for what's on the site, what people write on the site. Especially at commons like Twitter or Facebook or the content providers or Twitter or Facebook or even Gab. The only person who's responsible for what they say is you. That's it. That's it. So blaming Gab is like blaming the gun. But they did it in order to make sure that Gab didn't get big. Because Gab was getting bigger. It was surviving. It was getting crowdfunding. It was getting sponsors. It was getting to a point where it was becoming a real social media network with 2018 technology. It was getting very close to that. Every time I went back to it, it got better. Every time I used it a little bit more, it got better. They are attacking people's livelihood. They're going from saying, you can't say that, to you're not allowed to make a living. They are unpersoning you. GoDaddy gave Torba 12 hours to find a new DNS host, to find a new domain name hoster. 12 hours on a Sunday night at 9 o'clock last night. Said by 9 o'clock tomorrow morning, you won't even have your domain name anymore. Are you kidding me? Now, let's not kid ourselves. Okay? Andrew Torba knew exactly what he was doing. I mean, my partner and I have been talking for 2 years, a year and a half about all of this and going, what hosting site will we use for the next iteration of Gold, Goats, and Guns? When we outgrow, WordPress, or we outgrow, the WordPress.com that we're using now. When we outgrow that, when we get to a point where we want to move on to something different, what hosting site are we going to use? What DNS registry are we going to use? Are we going to use GoDaddy? I'm not interested in that anymore. When the contract with GoDaddy runs out, I'm going to buy, I don't care, pay an extra $3 a year and do it with somebody else. And register it with somebody else. Everybody down the line. It's not just the hosting servers, the hosting services for Gab. That's the second hosting service because they were on AWS. They're not on that anymore either. Now it's domain name registration. Now it's payment processors, PayPal. Now it's Shopify. Now it's everybody. This was the next one. They went after Alex Jones. Now it's Gab. Who's next? But and Gab is actually registered in Antigua for a particular reason, to not be in the United States. GoDaddy did that to Gab last night. It's in my Twitter feed because I retweeted all of this stuff. So this was a coordinated hit with no doubt in my mind. It means that everybody here listening to my voice and everybody needs to get a Gab account when they come back online. We all need to get the fuck off of Twitter and we all need to move over to Gab. And we need to start making a real community on other platforms. And we need to do it. Not just talk about it, not just virtue signal about it like I've been doing, like we all been doing. Do it. Fuck Twitter. They're going to get rid of likes anyway. What the hell is that? Okay? At the end of the day, if you believe in free speech, then you have to believe that free speech is something you have to defend. That means it's not free. Free speech ain't free. It costs $1.05. It's not free. My Gab handle, by the way, when they're back online, is exactly the same as my Twitter handle. TFL1728. So the problem is that I don't tweet all that much. So I don't really use either platform very much. But it's incredibly important that if you believe in free speech, if you don't like what's happening with Silicon Valley, Twitter's not going to get better. Okay? Facebook's not going to get better. They're only going to get worse. Because they want to be able to control what you see. Google's not going to get better. I mean, I've been using Bing as my search engine for the last, 5, 6, 7 years because, I get a $5, I get enough points eventually that every once in a while I get a $5 coupon over at Amazon that I use, and it's fine. And searching for pictures up until last week on Bing was fantastic. And then they changed the interface. Now it sucks balls. Now it's worse than Google's. So now it's time to switch search engines again. Go to DuckDuckGo? Probably. Because at some point, you have to put your money where your mouth is. At some point, you have to say enough is enough. And if you go and you look at some of Torba's tweets, and then you look at the obvious shit posts from shit libs, all in response, wah, wah, sorry to see you go, all of this stuff. I'm like, don't you guys get it? You're losing your ability. You are now on the side of the people who censor and destroy people's lives and destroy people's livelihood. And you honestly are, and they're so far down the road of evil that at this point, they're absolutely, all they care about at this point is winning. They don't care how they win. They never did. They're Marxists. Oh, I wouldn't use Chrome ever. I would never. I don't use anything. I mean, I hate using my Android phone as it is. I virtue signal. I don't use any of the Google apps. I use Outlook for my mail. I use Opera for my browser. All that stuff. I use Opera for my browser at home on my Windows box as well. I don't run Linux because, I still do like to play the odd and occasional game, and I like to run Office in native mode because, well, it fucking works and I need it to do my job. So, we're at that point where this is getting serious. They built a new platform. And they said, yeah, free speech is messy. It is. The First Amendment is messy. And I love the fact that libs are trying to hide behind the idea that, well, these are private companies and welcome to capitalism and this is what you get and you don't have any protections. I'm like, no, you don't get it. This was about contracts. Who in the fuck in their right mind is going to use GoDaddy for anything? If they can just, you hosted a Nazi you didn't get rid of a Nazi comment on your blog quick enough. We're taking away your DNS. We're taking away your domain name now. Office 365 is fantastic. So Gab signed contracts with these people. Okay? They're a paid in full service provider. And you don't get to write a contract with terms of service so broad that you can abrogate that contract at any time for any reason That's against the fundamentals of contract law. We libertarians believe in free association. We believe in the free market and all of these things. And we also fundamentally believe in contract law. So both of these companies, or all of these companies, have stolen from Gab in every way. They certainly can litigate some of this stuff. You got to remember that Torba did open up a lawsuit against Google about getting access to the Play Store. It's not about the social contract about the First Amendment. It's about the literal contract of these people having signed a contract. Look, there's a concept in law, contract law, called contract of adhesion, which is that when you have terms in your contract that are literally unenforceable, it's not contract. Right? So if you put something in your end user license agreement about your software that you can't pirate it, or you can't copy it, or you can't augment it, or you can't do anything, it's like you're against the EULA. Well, okay, well, enforce that. I'm using it on my private machine. Enforce it. It's contract of adhesion. You can't. So we're at that stage where they're trying to write these contracts in such a way, and these terms of service and license agreements that are completely against contract law. Thousands of years of contract law. 1,000 years of contract law. Okay, I mean, we're at 1,000 years of contract law at this point. And that's the way they're treating it. And nothing is worse than watching smug libs, smug fucking commies, lecture somebody else about the free market. It's like the most obnoxious fucking thing I've ever heard, because they don't understand what it is they're doing. They want a service provider to bake a cake for someone who's gay, that they want to force the service provider to do that, but it's perfectly acceptable, on the other hand, to get rid of somebody hosting a social network where people say vile things. Why didn't GoDaddy unregister Twitter.com yesterday? They're Salafist head-chopping animals doing beheading videos on fucking Twitter. And Gab worked with the fucking FBI to help identify the guy who shot up the synagogue. I have been following Riverboat, the way the libs are trying to tear up Linux. I have. And I also know that Linux is, I also know that the Linux devs have a very good case to withhold their code. So, I mean, there's kiddie porn, do you guys know any of I don't follow any of this stuff, but I had a friend of mine who's like my Twitter feed is nothing but a bunch of, cranky politicos. And she's like, well, that's not what's on my Twitter feed. And she's like scrolling through all these pictures of bondage and all this other stuff. I'm like, that shit's on Twitter. Right? That shit's on Twitter. They defend that. They allow that to happen. Wow. Yeah, they're destroying contract law. And they're doing it willingly. They're torching it willingly, guys. This is a designed thing. Okay? This is a designed thing. This is exactly what Soros has been playing the long game for freaking 15, 18, 20 years now. Yeah, if they succeed, all they'll do is destroy the internet. Okay. Bring about the workers' revolution then, when you're all starving in the fucking streets. Because, without the internet at this point, the entire global supply chain collapses. Act local, think global, or whatever it is. Think global, act local. I don't know whatever the hell they're Crypto, and I call them the Davos crowd. They're the people that meet at Davos once a year and decide amongst themselves how they think the world is supposed to run, and then they try to implement it as best they can. That's basically so. And yes, the blockchain is the only hope for contract law. Period. So, been telling you guys for over a year now that things like steemit and mines and Gab, even because Gab was looking at encoding everything on the blockchain so that can't be altered. I think they think Gab was actually running on a blockchain. And these things are all about protecting copyright. Because now everything on Steam, if you post something there on Steam first, you own the copyright. By definition, there's timestamp. It's yours. It's been encoded in a blockchain. It's been verified independently. Okay? Those are very important things. So, this is where we are. Now, title of tonight's talk is Gab Censorship and the End of Merkel in Germany. Well, let's go and let's broaden this, because remember that Angela Merkel started this shit in Germany by pushing hate speech laws onto social media posts. Never forget that Merkel was the first person to jail people and arrest people for things they said on Facebook. So Gab will absolutely do well out of this. So just like Alex Jones, they said there over the weekend, they signed up more accounts in 2 days than I think they'd signed up in 6 months. So yeah. The network was actually completely slammed as new people popped onto the thing. So it's going to be fascinating to watch how this plays out, because Merkel is now pretty much done in Germany. She stepped down this morning as the head of the CDU. The latest rules and laws, Article 11, Article 13 of the latest, I don't remember the name of the EU bill, that's the meme bill. That's the micropayments for copyright and all this for paying. So it had in it the idea that the EU wants all content providers to be micropaymented and remunerated if somebody links their stuff. Just fucking retarded. Okay. And then the other thing is that they want to ban memes. They want to ban memes, not BAM memes. That's pretty dumb. Ban memes. Because what they want is they want the end of oppositional speech. They want you to shut up and go along with whatever it is that they want to do. And that's exactly what's going on here. So the EU is passing a whole bunch of rules, GDPR, Article 11, Article 13, all of these. They're creating a legislative block within the EU so that then, like they do in California here, when California passes a law, because California is so freaking big, everybody effectively has to wind up complying with the law with California, because the producers can't make California-only versions of their products. They wind up setting all their products to California regs, and so every bad idea that comes out of California eventually winds up in the rest of the United States. It's the same thing. It's the same model for what they're doing with abrogating free speech in the EU. By creating all of these rules, the tyrannical EU is now trying to set that as the means by which the rules by which everybody has to operate on the internet, or the EU will shut them down. So now it's the end of the global internet. So one of the things you'll notice about the think tanks is that they never disagree. No, because they're all neoliberal, neoconservative, which is basically the same thing, globalist opinion houses. That's all their job is, to put a slightly different veneer for political acceptability amongst different demographics, to all come out, to get everybody to come to the same conclusion. So California's trying to ban the internal combustion engine. Have you guys looked at the CAFE standard schedule? Do you understand that the fleet average efficiencies for car manufacturers by 2025 or something like that is going to be 54 miles to the gallon? Why don't you just say we're banning the internal combustion engine? Every car will have to be a hybrid or an electric. And Trump was taking fire for rolling back the CAFE standards to 2000, to just holding them, I think, to like 2015, and just not going any farther with them. Like, no, fuck that. Go back to 2010. Let's get some cars on the market again, as opposed to fucking boxes. But the really important point here is that the EU, this is what Soros has been doing, because he owns the fucking EU, he owns the fucking European Parliament, he owns most of the politicians in Europe. The whole purpose of this is to create a legislative bulwark, which is then spread around the freaking world. They're going to do the same thing with freaking China. But they have to have their English language one as well as their Mandarin one. The V8, fuck that. Hey, 4-cylinder engines can't do 54 miles to the gallon. Not when they mandate 600 pounds worth of safety gear. Not when they mandate that every car has to be at least 3,000 pounds or 2,500 pounds to even get on the fucking road. Trump did say he was going to suspend the implementation of the newest standards. I mean, they just literally want to destroy the car industry because they hate the car. They want us all on trains. They want us all on buses. They don't want us to be able to look. How do you control a population? You control their speech, and you control their ability to fucking move around, and you take away their ability to shoot back. This is not hard. These people are just fucking commies. It's just that simple. They're just fucking commies. And it's all needs to fucking end. Oh, God almighty. If fucking Trump needs to get his head out of his ass and get rid of freaking ethanol, too. RINs, all of this shit. All gotta go. My God, it's terrible. All of this stuff is just terrible. Red Barchetta. Bring me back off the mountain, bring me back from the edge of the abyss before I start, saying things I shouldn't say on YouTube. Give me a nice Rush reference. I'll even play it in the background. Please get rid of, the whole RIN system is freaking unbelievable. It's why gasoline never dropped in freaking price when the oil was $30 a barrel. Because they had to blend in, because we were driving so much more, they had to blend in. The ethanol producers couldn't keep up, and the fucking RINs went up, and the amount of money that the refiners had to pay in order to put gasoline on the freaking roads went up as well. The whole thing is just a fucking scam for freaking Goldman Sachs to pull a vig off of every one of them that's fucking traded. No, of course not, because Donald Trump never met a freaking, never met a subsidy of an American business he didn't like, because he's a fucking mercantilist. I love Trump. He's a mercantilist. Oh, don't even get me started on, I mean, Scott Colvin. Have you not heard my Elon Musk rant? I fucking hate Tesla. Holy shit. Tesla's not even a car company. They're a hedge fund. They're a badly run hedge fund. Because hedge funds are supposed to make money for their investors. Well, I guess they did. Because everybody who bought in at $20 can now sell out at $320. Gas prices would drop. Would you just take it easy, man? Yeah, okay. Man, it's like, take it easy, man. There's a beverage here. If you guys don't know, we're just doing Big Lebowski references. All right. Scott Colvin comes back and says, "No, yes, I did not hear your rant. So go." Oh, Tesla is Theranos 2.0. Absolutely. No, so Tesla is just a badly run company. I mean, it would have been fine had they decided to stay a boutique electric car company that made beautiful cars, or at least reasonable facsimiles of beautiful cars, i.e. a Maserati Quattroporte, and then, built really cool IP to put in those cars and then license the IP. And if they had done that and never tried to go mass market, it would have been great. But, Musk had to look, Tesla was built under the Obama administration. He was given tremendous subsidy. Okay? And I called this the day after Trump got elected. None of you, or maybe 2 or 3 of you, were actually watching at that point in time, because there's been a fair amount of turnover of the regulars here. High-tech Pintos for hipsters. Holy shit, that's beautiful. That's really beautiful. I'm going to steal that one, by the way. I just want you to know. And yes, my Italian bias is showing, because you've read my stuff. Maserati does make beautiful cars. They're nightmares. Look, Maserati engineers like to make beautiful cars. Sometimes, every once in a while, they make a good one. That's the way I look at it. That's the way Italian car makers are. Good. Leave it that way. Make beautiful things that we want to love and swear at. Because we Italians understand that love and hate are really, really close. So... Nice. Okay, well, that's completely. I'm just reading Buck's latest thing. That's just awesome. So met a guy. His son met a guy LARPing as the dude at a Ren Fest. Okay, now that's funny. No, but high tech Pintos for hipsters is awesome. So the whole point of Tesla, but Tesla was built on government subsidy. Would have never been it would have never been feasible at that point in the life cycle. I mean, if it wasn't, look at what happened to Fisker. Fisker couldn't get off the ground. Fisker had better technology. Hey, let's put the gasoline engine in the car Fisker used hydrogen. Created a hydrogen fuel cell to then create electricity to power the friggin' engines. To power the electric motors. Use the damn electric motors for what they're good for. Get rid of the differential and the drivetrains and all that stuff, and put four direct drive electric motors on the freaking cars. Fantastic. It's brilliant. Get rid of weight and all of this shit. Just stick a little internal combustion engine in the freaking thing to make some electricity to move the car. Or better yet, hydrogen fuel cell. I'm far more partial to. And now we get the best of both worlds. Right? Because now we can just manufacture an engine noise and have it piped in through the speakers, which they do on all the high-end friggin' supercars anyway. And we can get all the torque. Because that's what we all love anyway. Tesla might have sued Fisker, but I don't know. I mean, Elon Musk for men. You guys are killing me. So, hydrogen fuel cells emit water. Kind of good. So Will K is like trying to push us back to geopolitics because that's what he wants to talk about tonight, which is fine. That's fair. So with Merkel going lame duck, Trump is going to start asking for 5% for NATO. Why not? I don't think so. I think what he'll do, I mean, I think it's funny, but don't get me wrong. It's not like I don't think that wouldn't be really hysterical, but I don't think that's what's going to happen. It's like, look, Merkel can't get away with 3% of GDP on defense spending. She can't get away with it politically. I said it in my article the other day about the natural gas, the LNG terminals, that she greenlighted LNG terminals that the German industrialists wouldn't pay for in order to then be able to buy a small amount of LNG from the United States to offset some of the costs they're not paying under NATO. And that's the way that's going to work. So I can't block the bot. I'm not on Periscope. So if you remember, I wrote an article months ago, North on 60, called "The Geniuses of the Left and the Glory of Cars," in which I said that we have our four geniuses on the left: Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg, Elizabeth Holmes, and George Soros. They're all going to wind up penniless. Well, I don't know about Zuckerberg; he's probably not going to wind up penniless, but three of them are, and they're frauds. Elizabeth Holmes is just stupid because, like, we're going to break the laws of physics on Theranos. Why? Vagina. That's why. Because her magic vagina is going to, like, break the laws of physics and do 150 tests with a drop of blood. Are they? I've done chemical analysis, guys. I know how much this shit, like, I know what it takes to do the analysis. It's just, I know what this is not possible. Theranos was always bullshit. It was always fraud. Elizabeth Holmes, Theranos. Elon Musk, that guy right now, that guy is desperate to push the stock back above certain levels in order to make sure that they don't get fucked by these convertible bonds that are coming. They've got a convertible bond that they have an option on if the price is above a certain point by a certain date. And if in February the price isn't above $300 or $350, then the company is insolvent. Which is why they released their earnings as early as they did, and it's why their earnings are bullshit. Tesla can't keep a CFO. There's a reason for that. But with Merkel is going to wind up in the same trouble as everybody else, because she's the first one that went to the censorship well. She's the first one that tried to really shore up her power base through intimidation while everything was slipping away from her. And now she's screwed. Because the Germans have already voted against her. They've already decided that she's not their future. And it's only going to get worse for her from here. The Hesse elections over the weekend were terrible. Now, she already knew this, and I have an article up I wrote this afternoon. FYI, it will probably be up on Zero Hedge tomorrow because, well, thank you, welcome to Costco. Pretty much everything I write on the blog winds up on Zero Hedge at this point. So, which is awesome. Don't get me wrong. I'm not like, I don't take it for granted or anything. I'm just saying that, it's great that you saw it, saw that today. But yeah, we're getting to that point where pretty much everything is getting posted up to zero hedge. The fun part is that it's now we're starting to see other major sites pick this stuff up as well. There's talk of her taking Juncker's job over as head of the EU. Right. How is she going to do that if she can't survive until May, 1? And then 2, how is she going to do that if the populists take control of the European People's Party? That was the plan. The plan was for her to like ride this out. So from the moment she put the coalition together, the whole point was keep her in power until May of 2019, and then they could limp their way into pulling a fast one. She gets stepped down as Chancellor of Germany to heal the political wounds, and then she can move up to where she needs to be in the first place, which is to oversee all of the further disintegration of Europe into chaos and cultural miasma. Best I got, guys. Will Juncker last until May? That guy looks like he'll fall over at any time. It's possible. Macron may need to take Juncker's job, but neither of them are going to survive, because I think this is what Salvini and Orban and the rest of them are trying to pull off. They're trying to pull off a takeover of the European Parliament by May, and that's very possible. So, and again, I'm trying to figure out, I'm watching my stream health die here. I am the only one in the house, and I'm the only one using bandwidth. So either Microsoft is pushing down some kind of update, or I'm running out of that, or there's a buffer that's being overrun that I can't that I'm running into here, because we're running into this on a regular basis now with every stream. That's somewhere between 45 and 50 minutes. I can't keep bandwidth, and it has nothing to do with what I'm doing. So I don't know what to do. Well, so I mean, unless there's just I know my bandwidth has been kind of weird over the last couple of months as well, so I'm not really sure what's going on. I can't go to Gainesville and stream. No, it's not about any of that. I think there's something else going on here. There may be something else going on with OBS Broadcaster, in that it's like caching too much information, and there's not enough room left on my hard drive. That's what I'm thinking is what's going on here. I actually think that may be what the problem is. So I'm going to stop the stream and restart it, and we'll see how that works. All right? So I'll be back in 30 seconds. All right, let's see if this will hold up. We'll see what happens. Yep. No, dude, I'm on the end of I'm rural and on the end of a very long bit of copper. So everybody worrying about, how my bandwidth is affected by a variety of things. I think the bigger question for me is that I think I know what it is. I think I've got to do some cleanup on my SSD and get back down and get something closer to 30 or 35 gigs free on my SSD, and I'm looking at it going, why there's only 14 gigs free, and that doesn't sound right. So there's something missing. There's something installed on that drive that shouldn't be there. So I need to look what's going on. All right. So what are we talking about? Let's finish talking about Merkel before we lose everybody for the evening. Yeah, I don't play Wolfenstein. Don't know what's going on, actually. I have to look at it. All right. So the situation with Merkel is really interesting because by the time we get to May, I just don't think they're going to have the establishment in Europe are going to have a majority to be able to put together a coalition and then the coalition to get anything. I don't think that they're going to be able to put a coalition together that will allow continuity in the EU. And I think that that's actually the thing that Soros is probably the most worried about at this point. I really do believe that that's probably what his biggest worry is losing the European Union. I mean, his goal is to destroy the United States and then create Fortress Europe and create the European Union as the base of operations to destroy the world. That's always been his plan. So if his pets, Merkel, Macron, and the rest of them are all gotten rid of, and then so many of the list of MPs that he owns, if they are overthrown or removed, Katie barred the door. Because the truth of the matter is that since the last European parliamentary elections back in 2013, look at what we've got. I mean, back then, the League was polling at like 7%. M5S was polling at like 5%. Okay, these parties were nothing. AFD was just being formed. You know, I mean, the only real Eurosceptic party was UKIP. Now we've got like 7 or 8 parliaments in Europe are fundamentally Eurosceptic. Poland, Hungary, Austria, Italy, Britain. I mean, the French are at that point, for Christ's sake. Right? The Swedes are probably going to have to call for snap elections because they can't put a coalition together. You think that's going to go well for the Social Democrats? I don't. I think it's going to get worse for them. And this seems, and I'm absolutely right, running out of space on the cache on the hard drive, and that because the stream is fine again. All right, so that tells me everything I need to know. All right, that's great. I need to get back to having 40 gig free on my SSD, which is no problem. I can do. So, that's where we are. And did it break 7 today? All right. So the next question down the road, I don't really have much more to say on Europe than that. So I actually didn't even notice. Did the CNH broke 7 today? Will K is asking about the yuan. So the onshore yuan is trading at just under 7, and that's what they're trying to hold. Bolsonaro winning big in Brazil was big, was important. Yeah, no, Soros has absolutely been outed as to who he is, and he's in trouble now. But now he's daring Trump to go after him. Now he's leading with his nose, and he's trying to get Trump to go after him. Trump's not taking the bait, which is what he should do. So. But I know the Chinese are going to defend 7, and if that means them defending 7, what that means is they're going to be selling treasuries, or they're going to be selling their dollar reserves, and they're going to be selling them into the market. And they've probably been selling them into the market anyway to support countries like Turkey. I wouldn't doubt. There's a reason why the Turkish lira is back down around 5.5. So, right. I have no idea what you're talking about, ETF. He's asking about the Cardi-Nicki beef. I have no idea what you're talking about. I saw something about that on Twitter this afternoon. I don't even know who those two people are. Sorry. So, yeah, I'm not really sure at this point. What else have I got to say tonight? Seriously, I don't even know who they are. Does that make me an old guy? Apparently, these are people I'm supposed to know about. Oh, it's a fight. I have... Yeah, no. I could care less. They're nobodies. Thank you. Two broads that have butt injections. Got it. It makes me a sane guy. Okay, cool. Okay. You were just sucker punching me, weren't you, dude? All right, got it. I got my eyes on you. I got you. All right. Asshole. Nicely done, dude. That's a golf clap. All right. Does that make me an old guy? Fucking no. Anything else? Am I still expecting more false flag hideousness before the midterms? As long as the polls keep looking as bad as they are to do for the Democrats, yes. That's the problem. Thoughts on you? No, don't get me started on Thomas Wichter. I'm sure he's sad right now because, you know, he had to take MBS's balls out of his mouth. No, I do know Tupac and Biggie are. I ain't that unhip, all right? I ain't that white. All right. Glad I can entertain y'all tonight. All right. Well, guys, what else is there to talk about? Well, there's everything, obviously. By the way, to remind everyone, Tuesday night, for election night, I will be on at 10:30 or so, maybe a little earlier, but probably right around 10:30 to do an election night coverage thing. We can talk about that. Some people are talking about high early voting could be cannibalizing election day voters, or that's a nice way of saying, oh my God, all the Republicans have already voted, and they're like, oh shit, now what? Please. There will be a little bit more market volatility between now and the midterms. There will be. Because some of this is now margin selling, right? Some of this is margin related. What happened to Khashoggi and the outrage? What do you think happened with Khashoggi and the outrage? We had the boomer bomber, and then a synagogue got shut up. In America, a synagogue got shut up. Do I have to make it any clearer than that? Do I have to dog whistle more that this is about the Jews? Whatever. It's like, what do you think this is? Why do you think Gab got shit on in the first place? All right. Any thoughts on the Merkel, Macron, Putin summit in Erdogan? I think it's huge. I think if you look at the statement, it was pretty clear. Gilbert Doctorow over on Russia Insider has a great rundown of the post summit presser, and he nailed Macron. and the division between that group, that Macron is there as a stalking horse for the United States and the globalists. He says the United States, I say the globalists. Whereas Merkel is literally trying to fight for her political life domestically, and she just doesn't want any more migrants coming into Europe. And so that's turning her directly back towards Putin, which is beautiful, because this is the thing that has to happen. Because here's something to stick in your craw before we part ways tonight. This is something that popped into my head today during the article. While I was writing the article, I saw another article or thing over at Russia Insider about the rate at which Russians are building new churches. And I swear this has to do with Germany. When a country or when a society goes through a major spasm and they've lost their traditions, and they face down chaos, and they face down societal collapse at one level or another, there is a retraditionalization. It's happening in Russia. They're building 3 churches a day in Russia. They can't build them fast enough. They're going to build 3,000 churches this year. They'll build another 3,000 or 4,000 next year. This is what's coming to Germany. Okay? This is what's coming with Germany. I fully expect this. That the traditionalists are going to take over German politics. That's what's swinging back. That's what's going to happen here. I think that's what's coming on. And anybody who's German or living in Germany right now, tell me if I'm off about that. But I really do think that that's what we have to look forward to, and how Germany is going to finally break with the United States, align themselves properly towards Russia and the East like they need to in order to survive, and get Europe back under control. And once Merkel is removed from office, what we're going to see is an Orban/Putin-like figure come to office. And I don't know how that's going to look, because I don't understand German society well enough to know that. But I just have a feeling that that's what's coming. Yeah, I don't believe so. I mean, going back to the midterm elections, I don't buy any of that. You know, I was talking to User 13 earlier today, and apparently she went to vote and figuring, hey, it's early voting, it's the midterms, I'll just walk right up and I'll vote and get it over and done with. There was a line out the door. Okay? We're seeing the same thing all over Florida, happening everywhere. The turnout for the Republican turnout in a lot of these states is going to be a 3 Sigma event. The reason why Merkel's godless, childless commie, who has imported people into Germany that are actively destroying German culture. The cycle will turn against that. There will be a natural reaction against that. So, all right. Looks like we're right about at an hour now, and I'd really like to get done for the evening. So I've got a lot of stuff to do this week. I got to start working on the issue. I got another thing for strategic culture to write, which I'll probably write about the summit, actually, and we'll go from there. All right. That's been a show. This is the Gold Goats and Guns Hour. Sorry for the interruption in the stream. I'll work out the technical difficulties on my end now that I know exactly what they are. And then if you guys like my work, you can Follow me over at goldgoatsandguns.com. You can follow me on Twitter at TFL1728. You can also follow me on Gab when they come back up online at TFL1728. Moreover, you can, if you like my work, you can support it by throwing up a pledge over on my Patreon at patreon.com/goldgoatsandguns. Eventually, I'll have super chats installed, and if you guys want to donate that way, you're more than welcome to. And we also sell soap. So if you'd like some goat milk soap, I got soap for sale in my bathroom. So that's a show. We'll talk again on Friday night. You guys take care. You be good. You keep your stick on the ice.